Hello and welcome back to another convention vlog. I'm here to do a little intro because I kind of forgot to do it on the day. One day events are always so kind of crazy hectic at the beginning with setup being on the day, obviously. So I kind of forgot, but I just wanted to say as well, I apologise for the audio throughout. I forgot my microphone on the day, so we had to do it old school and do it without the microphone. So I really hope that you can hear me. I'll try to subtitle anything if I need to, if it's not very clear. Stay tuned because this is a really cute event and I can't wait to show you all about Taroball. So let's go! Good morning, welcome to another convention vlog. I am at Taroball Convention today. It has actually been a little bit into the convention already, I think we're like an hour in, but I will do a little update for you once you've seen the setup and everything. But yeah, it's going well so far, little spoiler for you.
Welcome to our panel. Today we were talking about how to get started in Artist Alley, covering some topics like merchandise, displays, and some more practical tips as well. To start, we're going to all introduce ourselves and a little bit about our work. So I'll go first. My name is Georgia/Oku. I'm an illustrator focusing on bringing the cute and colourful to life and a little bit of joy to the everyday. I love creating art of my little characters. And the little pink cow on my logo that you can see, her name is Tara, she's one of my characters. I've been running my business for roughly 3 years now, and doing in-person events since April 2024. I found a lot of joy in doing in-person events and talking face-to-face with my customers. Some of my biggest inspirations come from mental health, positivity, and the belief that everyone deserves to have bright and colourful. The colour isn't just for kids.
So, where we're starting out is merchandise. So I like to think of this, preface it as what do you really want to make? So what do you want to see? What is your voice? So even think about what you've been making before. So and then think what you could make out of that. So if you already do drawing, think about what prints you could, you can make them into prints. If you do comics, you could make them into physical copies. So yeah, you think about that. You could also think about materials. So if it's lino, I do lino as an example. I could easily turn that into prints, and I have patches and other things like that. I don't know if you guys can agree.
I think similar to what Beryl was saying, especially as a small business, you should be making stuff that you love. It's easy when you start selling to get caught up in I want to make things that other people will like, that other people want to buy, but that kind of sucks the passion out of it. So personally, I would recommend always following your heart and making what you would want to buy. Look at when you get to a store, have your store make it be something that you look at and you're like, I would want to buy everything.
I absolutely agree with that. I think it's really good to try and think about what you can make that's unique to an Artist Alley display and trying to kind of mix your passions together. And so for me that often comes in my original art and also fan art and mixing those together and having a mix of both on my stand. I really like to, I think the fan art draws customers into the table. So people often see my Pokemon stuff and things like that, for example, or Miku. And then they will notice my characters and I get a chance then to kind of introduce my characters to people that way, which I think is also really nice. But I think it's very much a personal preference on if you want to do fan art or not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have mainly original work, but I think I make stuff on the things I like, so it's more genuine.
Yeah, I think from my experience, like fan art is great, and like you were saying, like follow your passion, and fan art OC work, like your own characters will definitely sell, but in my experience it's not as fast selling as fan art, because especially when you're at a larger con, people are kind of like copying their favourite like shows and characters across the room. So fan art definitely sells better, but like don't let that dissuade you from doing OC stuff, because OC also like has potential.
Yeah, so when you're first doing it, I think trying out local events like local art markets can be really good, or asking family and friends, because they might know of events that you don't know about, for example. But also another thing is when you do start doing them, try to talk to other vendors, make those connections, because it's really important. Like even in this room today, there's a lot of people that I've already met at other conventions, and even just like you do make friends within it, but there's also, you know, when I forgot my blue tack today, I borrowed some from Juicebox Rocks over there, and so you can help each other out in different ways, and things like that is really important to make that connection.
Yeah, 100%. It's so good. I also think if you do want to start at a cheaper level, I think if you have a buddy, try do tabling with them. My friend over there, I've been doing markets with them for so long, so we should table with them today. So it's a good idea to start.
Yeah, I think also, like you mentioned, like craft fairs, smaller things, or obviously there's like bigger conventions, and like Amsterdam Comic Con being the biggest. And I think when you're like trying out what places to vend, it can honestly be really random if you do well or not. And I think if you go, like, especially if you go to your first one and you don't do so well, it can be really disheartening. But I go to like one of like the same conventions that goes all around the UK, and usually I do really well. But I went to one place and like I barely made my money back. And I said, "What's going on today?" So it's like if you go places and you're not selling, it's probably not you.
And so on networking with trainers again, I know I was talking about this earlier, but this one is really, really important to me. I went to LSCC summer last year, and the event wasn't going very well for me at all. I should have kept my expenses lower. I ended up staying in a hotel. I could have probably stayed realistically. That's a lesson that I learned at that weekend, because I really did make a big loss. But while I was there and talking to other traders, I met someone called Maria, who's an author, who I am now working with long term on a children's book series, and I'm her illustrator for all of her books. And so from that event where I made a big loss, I have now actually gained this huge project that I'm working on long term. So you can't always just think about the sales, there's other things that can come from an event.
Thank you so much, guys.
I'm hoping you can hear me over the music. I haven't done this without my microphone in a while, but it is going well so far today. We've already made a decent amount of sales, and an A5 print sold, which is really, really cool, and also one of my mini mystery stickers. But yeah, it's going good, and the table was better than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was going to be 1 foot, but it's actually 2 foot deep, and it's 5 foot big, so yeah, pretty cool.
And Xiao from Genshin. Next up, we have Missa, cosplaying Honor from the Local Magic.
We're talking part of the lab.
It's so fun. It's so pure, so strong. No, to admit it came on fast. And to believe that it can last. And I will be loathing, loathing you, my whole life. So good. How do you stand it? I don't think I could. The Tara, she's a Tatter. We don't mean to show a bias, but to Linda, you're a martyr. Well, these things are so true. Do you mind if I just lean over to get this?
Never forget those eyes, 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 'cause baby tonight, the creep is trying to steal all our stuff again. 'Cause baby tonight, grab your big shovel and mold again, mold again.
Okay, so now that you've seen some bits and pieces from around my day at Taroball Convention, let's talk about my opinions on this convention. And little spoiler alert, I absolutely loved trading at this event. Like, seriously, it may have been the convention with the best vibes that I've ever been to. So Taroball is a small convention. It was in Southampton. It was in Southampton last year. I say was as in, like, it might change locations. You never know with conventions, but I say it's probably safe to assume it's going to stay in Southampton, which is great for me because it's close by. So it's organised by a small team of organisers, and you can really tell that it's run by artists for artists, and I'll explain what I mean by that when we go through everything about the event. So prior to the event, they asked anyone who had the kind of time and capabilities to any of the artists tabling if they would be able to draw a tarot card. So this is what my tarot card looked like that I drew. So they actually had their own kind of table at the event, the Taroball table as such, where one of the organisers was selling her artwork alongside selling pre-orders for the tarot deck. It was going to be selling the actual tarot deck, but then obviously didn't arrive in time, so they're doing pre-orders. But from what I've heard, the pre-orders were really well received anyway, so that's really good. Yeah, it's just like, I think that's such a cute idea because getting the artists involved like that with the event is so lovely. I think it's so cute, and it really builds that kind of community feel. And I think I talk about that a lot here, like, when I go to events, it feels like a community, and this one more than any of the others, honestly. The fact that they had the Taroball table selling the decks as well was how they managed to keep the table cost so low for the artists taking part and make it a really accessible event for people, because the tables were so low and cheap in price, but it meant that you could also help them gain their cost back by giving back, essentially, and drawing an illustration for the deck, which I think is really nice as well. It again shows that kind of community vibe, community feel. So last thing about the Taroball table is that they also had remote vendors. So I showed some clips of this earlier on, but they had remote vendors where some artists who were part of the convention would send them stock, and instead of being there physically with their stock and their stand, they would just send their stock. The Taroball convention team would set it up on this table and sell it for them, and then I don't know exactly how it works because I've not been a remote vendor, but I assume obviously they send the money back to the artist, which is really cool. I love that as an idea. It could make doing your first convention maybe a lot less scary, because you could just see if there's an audience for your goods at a convention and then go with your full table set up in the following year. That could be quite an easy way to test it out. It could be kind of cool, as in accessible way to do cons. I don't know, I think it's quite a fun idea though. It makes it a bit different. The organisers also gave out what they called Taroball tokens. So I did show these earlier on as well. I'll put the clip in again in case you didn't see them. But these were given out to every attendee and they were worth £5. And you could spend them at any stall at the event for £5 worth of goods. So you could go up to my stand, for example, and buy, say, a sticker offer for £5 and then give me the token. And then I take that token, I say thank you very much, I give you your stickers, and then at the end of the day, I took all the tokens that I had spent at my table to the organisers, and the organisers then gave us the cash for what the value was of all the tokens. So I had 6 tokens spent at my table, which equaled £30. So kind of in a way, the convention paid for my table, because the table was £30. So that's kind of cool. Now, how have I not spoken about the panel yet? You would have seen earlier a little clip of the panel that I did at this event. So I actually organised this panel with the help of 2 other amazing artists. So I went to the team and pitched this idea for the panel because in the Discord group that they had about the convention showing us information and things, they also said about, is anyone maybe open to doing a panel? And I immediately replied like, yes, I'd love to do that. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there. We're going to try this. We're going to see how it goes. I think in the first year of trading at events, I've gained so much confidence. This is something I would never have done. A couple of years ago, I would never even imagine of speaking at an event. I'd be like, what? But I think when it's something you're passionate about, because I likened it to like reading out your essay in English, for example, and I hated doing that. But you were speaking to people who were not interested in the topic you were talking about. You probably weren't interested in the topic you were talking about, and you were forced to do it. This is very different because talking in front of this audience, I knew conventions always feel like a safe space, and you know you're around people that have the same interests as you. And I was talking about something that I'm very, very passionate about. So we were talking about how to start an artist alley. And I was so happy to turn this into a group panel as well. That's what I was really hoping to do. That was my idea for it. And I ended up doing this with 2 lovely artists. We had Baralis? Why did I struggle so much? We had Barrel doing this with us, and also Kumigaki doing this with us as well. And they were so lovely. It was so good to work with them. And I'm actually hoping to have Barrel on an upcoming YouTube video as well. So stay tuned for that. But yes, it was so much fun and I loved it. I could have yapped on that panel for so much longer, but obviously we had a time limit, which makes sense because we would have just carried on going. But it was really fun, and we actually had people watching and interested in it. And because it was in a small function room at a hotel, all the vendors could still hear us, what we were saying as we were going through the panel. And then so later on when I was going around and talking to some of the vendors, they were all saying like, oh, well done on the panel, it sounded amazing, I really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, thank you. It was really nice. It was, yeah, I would definitely try and do a panel again in the future. I really hope to do more. I think it would be great. Okay, so another like thoughtful thing that the organisers did was that on our lanyards, which I actually have mine right here, on our lanyards they put our illustrations that we did for the tarot deck on there, and then they also had these really cute little things on the back. I think it's going to be easier, it's going to be backwards, but it says let artist wee wee on there. And then on my partner's one it said the free labor, which I found hilarious. But it's such a small thing, but I just know that every artist that was there would have found this really lovely and would have really appreciated such a small but thoughtful gesture, because it just means that every badge that people were wearing was unique, and I think that's really nice. It's very different. It's not something you see much. I just think it's very thoughtful, so I wanted to mention it. Last point before we get into the finances, unlike a lot of other small conventions, Taroball actually had stuff to do throughout the whole day. It didn't just feel like a market or somewhere to just buy stuff. Like, it wasn't just somewhere to buy things, which is very different, because I think if you call yourself a convention, you need things going on. If you're an art market, that's different. People expect it to just be a market. But if you're a convention, people expect there to be more things going on. And Taroball definitely hit the nail on the head and got this absolutely right, because throughout the whole day, they had things going on. So they started off with the panel that I was part of, obviously. They had the cosplay competition. They were playing Mario Party games on there. They had a flautist playing, who was amazing, by the way. There was some clips earlier you would have had. Oh my gosh, beautiful, amazing. and they ended off the day with some karaoke as well. And I've probably missed things off because there was so much happening on that stage throughout the whole day, which for such a small convention, it was so refreshing to see the effort being put in, and it was just so nice. Like, and the audience, the attendees were definitely engaged with the event the whole time, and they kept saying to us about how much they were enjoying it. So it was just amazing. It was just so lovely, honestly. And so now let's talk about the finances. This is going to be very quick because it was a one-day event. So for my costs, first up, the table cost me £30, and it was a 5 foot by 2 foot table, which, let me touch on actually, that earlier in the video I said, oh my gosh, I'm really happy it's a 5 foot by 2 foot table. When I asked them about the table size before, they did think that the tables were going to be 6 foot by 1 foot, which I was like, how am I going to do a setup on that? But luckily the tables actually weren't that size. They were 5 foot by 2 foot, so it was a lot more manageable to do a setup on that. Anyway, I estimate that the fuel there and back cost me about £6, which is quite cheap, bringing my cost to a very small £36 for the day. And in sales, I took £192.50, which left me with an amazing profit for the day of £156.50. And for a one-day event, I'm extremely happy with this, and especially with how much fun I had at this event as well. And you can tell from how I've been talking about it that I really loved being at this event, and I would 100% do Taroball Convention again. I want to try and do it again next year if I get in, but yeah, honestly, loved this event so much. Try to support small conventions where you can, because I had the best time at this one. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you. Bye.